All right, everybody. My name's Craig Kronenberger. I'm here with Charlie Wardell, and we are talking about the developer, the underdog, who really is the hero in this story. AI. We look at this space. Ultimately, it runs on what developers build. But when we look at who's really cashing the checks and who's making the money off of this, it doesn't seem to be the developers. And this company is really focused on building a platform that really helps support developers, finds a way for them to monetize this opportunity. In many ways, this is kind of a rebellion against that system, against leveraging the labor of developers to build this technology. And then you've got a lot of the big corporations that are the gatekeepers that are ultimately profiting from this. So a lot of this is really about giving a shift in power and putting it back into the hands of developers. And so want to really go deep and talk about what's going on here and how can we help the developers? How can we create ultimately a solution for them where they're profiting from this? So let's start with what the core problem is, Charlie. Why are developers losing out on the money opportunity?
We're building the beast that's going to eat us. We as developers are so excited about technology, we don't think about the ramifications of it, right? And I cannot even begin to share some of the conversations that I've had where customers have a clear agenda to cut 70% of their development staff because of AI. Now, fortunately, AI wasn't at the point where it made sense for them to do that, but the ethical AI is a whole can of worms that we can start talking about. But developers are true to their craft. They're doing great things. They're excited. They like the puzzles. They're not thinking that one day they may get bitten by this bug, right? This AI trend that will eventually marginalize them. So we have to think a little differently on what their role in AI is in the future. AI is moving at an incredible speed, unlike we've never seen before in technology. And developers have to quickly embrace that movement, but at the same time, think about other opportunities to protect their craft. And I think that we're going to find a lot of indie opportunities. We're going to find a lot of makers and shakers that want to, and I think that that's the answer for these folks. I've come across developers that want to get out of development completely. They say, I am not doing this, and I'm only doing this until I can find something different. I want out of technology. And it's because they could see the writing on the wall. Now, I don't know if it's as grim as that, but folks like me who have a heart for the teams that I've worked with want to provide opportunity. And I think that the way to provide opportunity is that, okay, if this thing is hungry and needs to be fed, let's feed it. Let's build up an ecosystem and a marketplace of functions and services and things like that that the agentic AI processing can use and that you can get some credit for it.
Have you, and by the way, I'm across all industries, there's a freak out going on, period. And I think it's the unknown is the problem. With developers, was there any particular story that you latched on, anything that you saw that really threw you off and understood the importance of the problem to get you to the point where you said, hey, look, if we create a marketplace, this could be ultimately a solution?
Yeah, it was clearly that customer that said, unapologetically, I want to reduce my development cost by 70%.
Yeah.
And I want you to help me do that. Yeah. Now, I did not win that contract.
Yeah.
I didn't want it, but I didn't win it. Yeah. So I don't know where they are at this point in time, but that was their agenda. Now, what we're looking at is the first time a big company does that unapologetically, that's when the trend's going to start.
Yeah. Yep.
right? Right now, it's in secret. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we can reduce some tech debt and reduce some of our development costs, right? They're doing it very low key. But the first time where you see these massive rifts happening because of AI in the development community, that's when a trend is going to start. Now, again, it's not about the developers who develop. It's about the ones who don't embrace AI that are at risk. So AI in the hands of a developer is great. AI in the hands of a phenomenal developer is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a multiplier. It's a force multiplier. So that's why I'm concerned about these new entries into the marketplace, these junior developers. AI can code circles around a junior developer.
Yeah. Okay. So let's touch on that. To the college grad or to the high school student that's going down the path of computer science, wants to be a developer, what do you tell them?
Yeah. What I would say is that you have to become a master of grokking AI. It's like, how do you make it your bitch?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's instead of fearing it, you got to dominate it. You got to own it. You got to understand its limitations. You got to understand how to really think outside the box and solve problems in a unique way, utilizing AI. Those are the people with value in the marketplace today. A person who's just using it as an assistant while they're coding is not really benefiting by all that AI has to offer. And I've done deep dives in this concept called vibe coding, where I was a vibe coder for a solid week and really understand the struggles that are in play when you're trying to get AI to do something for you.
Yeah.
But also at the same time realizing that if I were a junior developer, I would never be able to challenge the AI the way I could challenge it.
Yeah.
I could never get it to do what I got it to do if I were a junior developer, because you still need to know the basics. You still need to know algorithms. You still need to know patterns. You still need to know technologies. What are your messaging technologies? What are your APIs? You still need to know that so you can instruct AI. If you let AI do it all for you, you're going to get something, but it's not something that you're going to be proud of at this point in time.
Yeah. Well, without challenging it, I always tell everybody, I feel like you're getting vanilla. It spits out vanilla. You got to really challenge it if you want something special out of it. There's two other audiences out there that I think are important in the developer community. In particular is the offshore market, which over the last 15 years has grown to be really significant. And I look at like the Philippines, I look at India, I look at these operations, and there's just a lot of developers there. And I feel like AI puts them at risk in a significant way. And I looked at them in particular. But at the same time, I like how you're talking about the opportunity, and you have to challenge it, and you got to leverage AI and embrace it. And I think for those types of markets, there's significant opportunity if they challenge themselves the right way with it.
Yeah, I've seen statements of work that were listing senior developer, maybe a senior consultant, architect, senior consultant, and then personas of AI as names, and with a rate card.
With a rate card.
Right. So this is our offshore rates. Here are our onshore rates, and here are our AI rates, and marketing AI agents as a persona.
Wow. Yeah.
Cheaper than offshore.
Yeah, cheaper than offshore. Yeah. That's rough. Okay. So, and actually for non-developers, I think this is interesting too, which is because it's getting easier for people that are non-developers too, to be able to leverage this. And the way I've been looking at it as, when you think of a marketplace, this is the ability to come in and be creative. And you have to figure out, you got to figure out what you're going to build and how you're going to provide value, but there's an enormous amount of opportunity for creativity. And I would argue in this marketplace concept, that you're going to see a lot of innovation. And not only a lot of innovation, but there's a significant upside of generating a lot of income and revenue off of this. So if you are a developer and you're challenging it and you look at it more from a business perspective, how can I generate money? What does the market need? I think you can really create opportunity. Whether you're a developer, whether you're a college student that's still studying computer science and is going down that track, whether you're a developer in India, no matter who you are, the opportunity is all on the table with the marketplace. It just seems like a business opportunity for them to be able to leverage it, find something special, find something unique, and create it. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, I think sky's the limit with regard to the opportunities for these indie developers. You know, one thought that we were just blue skying when I was doing work for the fintech is alternative data. And how awesome would it be if you lived in a building that overlooked a Walmart parking lot?
Yep.
And you had a camera that basically took a picture every, hour or so. And around the holidays, you could see how densely the parking lot is populated versus not, as a pre-indicator of the holiday season spend.
Of the holiday season spend.
Or a lumber yard.
Yeah.
Right?
Love it.
Or a train yard, right? All of these things, there are people that want this data.
Yeah.
Right? And what it requires is people to think outside the box and say, I've created the algorithm to do this. All you have to do is hook up a camera, and now we have this large alt data set that can be an indicator of spending around the holidays or a dip in the economy.
I also like how the marketplace, if I'm a developer, I might be solving part of the solution, but I'm able to connect my functions with other developers' functions to build a bigger story for a bigger solution, and I'm getting a little bit of piece of the pie off something that could be a much bigger idea.
Yeah, Lego bricks.
Yeah, I love it.
That's exactly right. It's functions as a service. It's a development paradigm where you want to make functions autonomous. You want them to be basically simple and fast. And by having a large ecosystem of these functions, developing applications become a lot easier.
Yeah, I love it.
And if you have the standard interface, all these functions, then it's about orchestration. So applications become orchestration.
The other thing too with the marketplace, I like how you'll have the opportunity, people will be able to opportunity to post the need that they're looking for, and the development community can actually answer back to build it. So you might be a developer that's a great developer but don't necessarily have the idea. The community can actually post things that they're looking for, and then that creates opportunity for you to go build it and fill that void and obviously make money off of it. And to me, that's also exciting. So you don't necessarily have to be the creative one who ideates what it needs to be always, but if you're a great developer, you can jump on that opportunity and figure out how to build it. You can also take something that exists and figure out how to build it better. Sure. Do better versions of it too. Seems like a lot of opportunities.
Yeah,
well.
I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in distributed finance and blockchain and things like that. There are a lot of functions need to be created. These very simple functions in this large ecosystem of functions, you'll be able to just about do anything that you need to do. Today, a developer has to start writing code, hits a roadblock and says, I would really wish there was a library that did this particular calculation. So goes on GitHub, does a search, finds the top 5, downloads the first one, has to compile it into their application, has to test it, that didn't work out, move to the second one and the third one, until finally it's like Goldilocks, you find the right library that fits the bill. With functions as a service, you could test it immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Make a function call, is it performing well, is it doing what you need it to do, does it fit the bill? And you know immediately, you don't have to get involved in all of that ceremony of typical development.
Right, and it's all backed off the Cortex-1 technology.
That's right.
So you're getting all the benefit of that as well.
That's right.
And the security as well as too. So So, talk to me about, the pay. It obviously will be transactional based in its pay. So it's all based on consumption. So you get a cut of it. And if you're a piece of the pie of several developers with several different functions, you're getting the piece of pie of yours,
Right.
portion that you're putting up in there. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about kind of like, where do you see this marketplace going? Like your longer term vision for it. How do you see itself building out as the technology itself starts to evolve?
Yeah, typically functions as a service is something that is embedded within the enterprise, and it's a paradigm by which an enterprise develops their own functions to consume. What we're proposing is more of a global function as a service platform where you can go in and you could search for something that you need and a listing of all functions that can potentially fit that need show up. And then integrating with it relatively easy. We have a Python wrapper that allows you to consume that function or call that function very, very easily. We're starting to integrate with agentic systems like N8N is one of the first ones that we started testing, where you can define your workflows and actually start calling these digital functions.
Yep.
Without having any concern about requirements or integration problems. You just have to pass the parameters and get the result back, and then pass on to the next function the parameters and the result back, and you can run them in parallel and know that these things are going to run as quickly as possible because they're backed by the right technology. So what it's going to do is it's going to speed up development. It's going to make development more of a workflow-oriented as opposed to application-oriented. And agentic systems are the new applications of today, right? They do incredible things. Talking to someone who has the potential of looking for, think about finding travel opportunities, the cheapest flight or something like that. Right now, they're scattering all that data that has to be acquired in order to do that. What if we had an agentic system that was able to do that live, right? Things like that. You're able to do when you start seeing these functions and what they're capable of doing. It just doesn't take a leap to say, well, if I strung those together, I would have a really cool app that did X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. Is there, how do you get around with any risk at the enterprise level if enterprise level is tapping into some of the functions in the marketplace itself? How do you eliminate security risk, access to their data? How do you deal with that?
We have two types of functions. We have a public function and we have a private function. So a public function is a function which is in the marketplace and that you can access and subscribe to. A private one is one that you've created and no one can see but you. So if you're an enterprise and you want to use this paradigm of this environment and have access to public and private functions, you can do that. But we're also considering taking this entire stack and moving it behind your firewall so that you can have your own public-private functions within your organization as well.
Yeah.
And what we could do is we could be feeding these public functions into your domain behind your firewall.
Yeah.
So you would be running an instance of Cortex-1.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So the with the marketplace, you'll with kind of getting this out there, is there obvious areas where the marketplace needs to fill kind of capacity, or where you think the demand is going to be for functions, or is it, we don't know? We're going to kind of see where it plays out and where developers take it. Like, where do you think the demand is? If you were talking to developers out there and say, hey, look, this is where I think the demand's going to be. This is where you need to be the builder, the maker. This is where I'd go first.
Yeah, anything that enables AI, like content tagging. This is one of the reasons why I'm focused on that content tagging. But getting involved in the training of AI or data processing and the cleansing and the tokenization and things like that, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Domain-specific language models are going to be a thing. They're smaller, they're faster to create, they require a lot less resources to run. So we might see these domain-specific language models for, the banking industry. We might see one for the hospitality industry, where they're trained on that particular data. But in order to do that, you need all of the steps to get that data conditioned before you start training that. So I could see a lot of data processing stuff being low-hanging fruit. But to really predict what they're going to do with it, it's really hard. I want them to blow me away and realize that, well, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
You're using it for what?
Yeah, I'm sure they will too.
Yeah.
Well, so we talked about this in a previous episode. Let's go back into the Cortex-1 technology, what the Cortex-1 technology is and how it's going to help people in the marketplace, specific to those people who are developing functions in the marketplace, and what are some of the advantages it might bring. Because we've talked about the use of Cortex-1, that it could give access to processors that you don't typically have access to. There's cost benefits. There's also, you don't have to worry about things. Let's talk a little bit about Cortex-1 and its benefit to the marketplace.
So yeah, the benefit to the marketplace, I think, is in not having to worry about the ecosystem and all of the connectivity. And there are some tasks that are what we call embarrassingly parallel. It's just a brute force parallelism. Some of those, we handle that. Some of those brute force parallelism doesn't really require hardcore processors, because sometimes the algorithm is faster than the latency of the network overhead. So what you could do is you can scatter it out extremely wide over a large amount of processors that could operate simultaneously and efficiently. Think things like Raspberry Pis, a cluster of Raspberry Pis can operate faster than one of the best CPUs you can get out there, considering the type of operation and size of payload.
Yeah.
Right? These are the things that Cortex-1 figures out, where for every call that is made, we're tracking the I/O, we're tracking how long it took to receive the request, how long it took to process the request, how long it took to give the response back. We're doing that not for a few reasons. One is to monetize, right? We want to be able to, because it's consumption based. But the other is to be predictive and to say, we saw the pattern of running this on a CPU, and I wonder if we can get the same performance running them on these RISC-V processors. Would it give us the same performance but a much cheaper processing point?
So you'll be learning.
Yeah.
You'll be learning.
And our intelligent router gets smarter and smarter, and then the next thing you know, it's routing to this cluster of CPUs as opposed to this cluster of CPUs. So
you're getting better speed, your efficiency, obviously lower costs, better pricing costs for it. Okay. That becomes huge. So, I always love this kind of idea. When I look at this and I think about this developer community developing all of this and the ability to monetize it and make money off of this, it feels like it could be a fairly large shift in the way things kind of operate. Meaning, do companies need to even have those developers? I mean, a lot of them they were going to get rid of anyways because of AI. At least that's the thinking. But even not needing them on board, because a lot of these functions may be available in the marketplace itself, and it's going to be a lot easier for enterprise level to be able to tap into that and to benefit from that. And so that seems like it creates a huge opportunity. It's both beneficial to the enterprise level too, with not having necessarily have all those resources to help support, build out their own. But on the other hand, this creates an opportunity where you could develop out a function that's being leveraged by a Fortune 500 that's using it, constantly. And so therefore you're generating very significant amount of money off of that.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of great IP out there, and there's a lot of open source IP out there. It would just because we have a marketplace doesn't mean you have to monetize.
Yeah.
You can still put some great IP out there and not monetize it.
Yeah, for those who want to just put it out there. Yeah.
That's right. And I think that the most important part is to have the largest and vast library of functions available at your fingertips so that you can construct and orchestrate solutions quickly and that take in consideration performance and cost and optimize that automatically.
But right now, there's not really a good way, a current platform right now where developers can really monetize in this way. It doesn't really exist.
Yeah,
in
I
this
have
kind of
not
manner.
seen any platform that allows you to monetize functions as a service.
So we've never seen what happens as it starts to play out, which I think makes it an incredible opportunity to turn developers into entrepreneurs, especially ones that are very good, very creative, can see where the demand is, and could be, really effective at building this.
It allows you to dip your toe in the water. It's a function. It's not like a massive application that needs massive marketing, massive budget behind it, and these are creating libraries of functions that do specific tasks very well on a platform that you don't have to worry about.
Now, what about security? So if I'm a developer and I've come up with something uniquely mine that I've created and I put it out there, how I want to be confident putting my own IP and profiting and monetizing it, especially if others start to see that I'm monetizing off of it. How am I kind of protecting my function, the security of it, seeing how it operates, how it works? How do you handle that for the developer?
Yeah, so it's a multi-tenant where all of the developers have access to the same platform to promote their functions, but the functions aren't visible to anybody. The logic and all of that stuff is clearly yours, and it's protected by keys and things like that. So nobody sees your function. They only see the interface to your function, and they see your README about how to invoke the function and the best practices in using your function. So you wouldn't have to worry about IP theft at all. The marketplace is going to drive competition. Someone's going to see that, here's a weather function that is able to get the weather by zip code, and it returns a JSON structure of all of these interesting weather dynamics.
Yep.
Someone may create a better one.
Yeah.
So we're going to be, it doesn't mean one is better than the other across the board. This one may be faster and have exactly what I need. This one may have more than what I need and is bloated. This one may be cheaper. This one may be more expensive. So it will drive competition, and competition will drive the quality of the functions.
Okay, so any closing comments to developers out there, thoughts, wisdom, or anything you want to leave them with on what you're trying to accomplish with this vision of this marketplace?
I think when it comes to the marketplace, it is to try to address the risks of AI for our craft. It's like, I do believe that we are at a point where we are building the beast that could potentially eat us. And I am trying to figure out a way to give opportunity to these folks that could potentially see themselves short-lived in the industry. Let the industry take advantage of their IP, but pay for it. Without having to worry about their job, without having to worry about their IP, without having to worry about the cost and the scale. Start creating these functions and promote these functions, and in doing so, you will improve yourself as a value to the AI development of the future. So that's the other point. If you're just coming out of school now and you're a developer, you're going to have to grok AI, and you're going to have to really show your differentiation by how you use it. This is one way of how you use it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's going to become, well, I got 42 functions on Cortex-1. I think that's going to be a excellent arrow in your quiver.
Yeah.
Just to be able to say that.
I love it. I think it's in many ways it's a revolution, but it's an evolution of how the whole model's going, and this puts the power much back into the developers' hands. It allows them to profit from this, and I love the vision of them being part of this future and not working themselves out of the future itself. I think the dynamic's going to change everything. I'm super excited to see more where it goes. I'm excited to see the innovation, what people come up with, how they turn this into business models, and the competition that's going to come from it as well. So it's going to be pretty exciting. That's it. Charlie, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is Craig Kronenberger, Charlie Wardell. Thank you very much.